good afternoon. Welcome back to another thrill-packed session of Post Walters. He's Post, I'm Walters. Ask us anything. That's what we're talking about all the time, every time. Today's date is the 10th of May. Christmas is just around the corner.
Yeah,
Ah,
a
uh,
good
I,
a good 6 months or so, right?
yeah, it'll in the blink of an eye. Um, we'll talk more about an update. There really isn't that much more to update that I can think of. Boy, come to think of it, I can't think of anything really. And
Updates,
with the copier, yeah, something big and bold that's in the news of the
big,
week.
bold, and in the news. Not really.
No, no, I don't
The
think so.
big event for June is going to be Drupa over at
Yep,
Dusseldorf.
Troop is still out there on the
We
horizon.
spoke about that, and I still believe that you and I got to get there one day, but it's going to be 4 years from now.
Well, that might be about right.
You might have to get me over there in a wheelchair at that time.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, when are you going to be 90 years old?
Hey, speaking of 90 years old, I think we've got to thank Frank Canada, turned 90 in April.
Happy birthday, Frank! Holy crap!
Really. Happy birthday, 90. Can you imagine? 90?
No,
And he was just at an event, I
it's
believe it was in Minnesota, a dealer event, and he was the, what do they call that when you're, there's a round table and you're the
like the MC.
MC, speaker, host, but he
Yeah,
was,
he
he was the
hosted a
host.
roundtable.
Yeah, he hosted a round table at 90. I mean, this guy is unbelievable.
He's the what is it? That bunny, Energizer bunny. That's who he is.
Right.
Wow.
I would have to do this another 23 years. And I,
Wow.
and I think for you, you just had a birthday too.
I did. It was yesterday. Yeah. Be another few years for me as well. But you know what this because what we just had Earl's kid on, right?
Right?
And so there's some longevity in the industry, isn't there? That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So how long has your dealer owned that dealership? And has he got sons or
His
daughters in or
well,
what's
he is the son of the
there we go.
owner. I believe he just turned 50. And I think his father started that business in the 70s.
Sounds about right. Is there another legacy in the wings somewhere?
There
Or?
is another legacy in the
Oh
wings.
shit!
Yeah,
Wow, that's cool. That's
would
very
be.
cool.
And there's a few dealerships, I believe, out there that are in the third generation.
Yeah, yeah. Of course can't think of the names right now, but I see them all the time. I go, oh yeah, that's right. That's the daughter, or that's the son, or that's pretty cool.
Right, right. Hey,
Wow.
so interesting, since you're into this whole AI and chat GBT stuff. I heard I was driving a lot today, so I had a lot of
Mm.
windshield time and radio time. And I heard Microsoft and GBT are going to partner to, I guess, release. Who is it? Who's got the all the Google to release, to try and get Google away from their stranglehold on internet searches.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I hear what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. Well, uh, yes. So I've heard this said more than once in the last couple of weeks. The blue link is dead, and the blue link meaning that whenever you do a gurgle, whenever you a Google sort, you get the blue links, and that's where you go. Right now, interestingly enough, about a year ago, I wrote an article about how AI was it the land of AI where SEO goes to die because artificial intelligence, you don't need any SEO. It just knows and it goes. It doesn't need to be told that it doesn't need keywords. Your data is the keyword. Set that aside for now. Um, yeah. So Open GPT and those guys, Microsoft, who owns the company anyway, Open AI, sorry. Yeah, they're going to bring out a new search engine I think it might be this Monday. It's pretty soon. It's pretty
Really?
quick.
That quick?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's weird. Don't quote me on that. I saw something fly by and you know how it is. I didn't fact check it. But anyway, regardless, it's going to come out. Now, these new search engines, Perplexity is one. They're
Right?
designed that when you ask, like, if I wanted to, I don't know, change the oil in my car, change the oil in my 69 Mustang, and
Right.
I put that into Google, it'll bring back,
YouTube. Yeah. All the
yeah,
YouTube videos. Yep.
it'll bring YouTube videos, it'll bring articles, but after the first four or five are sponsored links about motor oil and wrenches and all that crap. Well,
Right.
what Perplexity does is when you ask that, you know, you put that in, how do I, or give me, or whatever, it brings back the answer. It says, okay, this is how you change the oil. This is what you're supposed to do. You know, it goes, it takes all the information that search pulls in, digests it, and it spits it out through an LLM so that it easily communicates with you. Now, it also does bring up links. So, A, it'll give you an answer, and B, it gives you the links that the answer was driven from, which is totally different, right? So if you think about that, that kills SEO, and it really digs into the advertising budget because those first four links right now, you know, they don't exist. There's no sponsored links on a reply from
Oh,
Perplexity.
wouldn't there be sponsored links on this new?
There isn't right now, and you're right, but the theory going forward is it's AI that'll just answer the question. Right. So, but I can imagine given enough time, it'll be the AI that'll answer the right question, but it'll go to these four, you know, there's going to be algorithms I can imagine. Right now, there isn't. But the key right now is that these engines, these new search engines, and I'm not sure about the algorithm or the ratio, but for
Right.
every point that say Microsoft or Perplexity in searches, the more searches that go to these other sites really dig heavily into Google's stats. So they're starting to lose market share, which they've never ever had to deal with, right? They've always, well, not always, but they've been at 90% of all the searches on the internet go through Google, maybe higher.
Yep.
But so for if Microsoft increases their search queries by 1%, it really impacts Google more than that. So there's a multiplier effect. So that's an issue that Google's going to have to, that's one of the issues that they're going to have to take care of. The other is the sponsorship algorithm right now. And it's moving so quickly that, you know, ultimately when we all have our own AI, we'll just cut out all the middlemen, right? There'll be websites, but we'll have an AI that will ask on the phone and it won't go out to the cloud and create an answer. It'll create the answer right on your phone, insulated from the rest of the world, and then maybe search for sites that it bases it on. And that's not pie in the sky. That's probably not that far away.
Interesting. So you
It
said we could
is.
we could have our own AI.
Oh, we will. Yeah, without a doubt.
So I know recently HP released some new notebooks with embedded AI
You got to be
in
careful.
it.
Yes. Yeah.
Are you referring to something like that,
Very similar to that. Yeah. I'm not.
or do I
I,
call my Chat GBT my own personal AI?
you can do that, but the Chat GPT is processing everything up in the quote unquote cloud, right?
Right.
So the engine is running, and I'm being very elementary with my description, but get the point. The engine is running up there. It creates and generates answers and sends it back down to your
Right.
screen
Right.
effectively.
Right.
But and this I know that the HP was releasing some chips that had AI
Built in. Yeah.
capability
Yeah.
built in. I
Right.
don't
Right.
know if it
Right.
actually executed. I don't
Right.
know.
So interesting about the AI. And again, I told you I had a lot of windshield time today.
Mm-hmm.
And I was at an account's office today that want to add a second machine. But I was in the administrative office of a BMW dealership today,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they had a 5-year-old MFP, late model.
Oh.
And, you ask the question, documents, are you having any pain with your documents, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And all of a sudden I got, oh yeah, we have to copy these driver's licenses all the time. And, the first, the front side goes on one page and the reverse side goes on the other page. Can we do that to one page? right? And of course, yeah, you know what? The feature's built in. I showed them how to do it. Then they had another thing where they had the invoices for the car sales is
Okay.
longer than 17 inches. You've probably seen them before.
Mm-hmm.
So if you put them on an A3 device that has 1117 capability, basically it's going to cut off the top or cut off the, if you put it right up to the edge, it's going to cut off the bottom, and the bottom
Right.
actually has the signature on it. So, so, so we had to go in, well, how can we reduce this? And basically I showed them that, you've got to because the logo is at the top of the invoice. All right, move it up a little bit on the glass, flattened, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then showed them how to do the reduction
Mm-hmm.
to take that and put that on a legal size piece of paper, which ended up to be 73%, right?
Oh, okay.
So I'm getting into that. There was one other program feature that I saved all of these as a program in the
Mm-hmm.
machine. And there was one other one that I did, but for life of me, I can't think of it right now. But what if AI was in the copier and AI saw that, okay, we're always
Mm-hmm.
copying driver's licenses, right? Or we're always reducing this document, right? We're not reducing it, but we're copying it and we're not getting the correct image that we want. If all of a sudden the AI would pop up and say, okay, I just put a workflow on your GUI, which is graphic user interface of the MFP for one touch, a one
Mm-hmm.
touch button for scanning driver's licenses, and then a one touch button actually for creating that oversized document and doing it to size. So in the past, we've spoken about how AI could help, how they could integrate into copiers. So on the way back with the ride, I thought, well, this would be cool if AI could actually look at those processes that are
Mm-hmm.
going on with the machine, whether it's for scanning or for copying, and then make recommendations to the user and then say, would you like me to set up that button on your workflow?
Art, it might even go one step further for AI. Consider this. You put a driver's license on the scanner and push the green button. It scans it, thinks it's a driver's license, and automatically asks you to flip it over without any buttons. Says, is this a driver's license? You might say yes, flip it over, and then it automatically scans it. So instead of putting the program, building in the program itself is part of the AI, and it recognizes that this may
Good
be
point.
completed with a workflow. That's so right. The steps are right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. What you did, what everyone does, is a reformation, reformed a current manual process into digitization.
Correct.
What AI does is truly transform it from that kind of steps to this, whatever that was. Same with the it may be a little bit more, but the invoice, right? Because yeah, are those things 17 inches long? I
They're
remember them
longer.
being
They're
crazy.
longer.
It's like,
They're like,
wow.
I think they're like 18 inches long.
Oh
And of
man.
course, now or maybe even 19. So the biggest platen size on the A3s, they go to, and we call them A3 machines. You've got 17 inches, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got a little bit extra where the label on the platen says A3. So
Right.
these car, let me call them invoices or bill of sales, are probably more like 19 inches in
What
length.
happens when you put it through the ADF? I
You
don't
know what?
remember,
I did not give that a shot, and I should have.
but I don't. Do you think it would work?
Well, it could, but it, I'm not sure. It could also misfeed because it's too long.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. So the sense, well, if the machine, if there was AI built in, the sensors would be connected,
Right.
right, on the ADF. It would scan it through and automatically detect that it's 19, but it's only going to go on a legal and then do the reduction on its own. Wow.
right? So with all these
Wow.
machines, they have what's called auto R&E. When you run it through the document feeder. So if you were to run a legal, a ledger,
Mm-hmm.
and a letter size, okay, let's take three different sizes that aren't letter: statement, legal, and ledger.
Okay.
If you
Okay.
put them on the document feeder and you hit auto R&E, it will automatically reduce in size each page to a letter size
Okay.
document, right?
All right.
So that's been standard for years. But with the oddball, like you said, yeah, I'd have to get back in and try that. I'd like to see if I put it on auto R&E
And then
and
ran it
put
through
in
the
a
ADF. Right.
19 inch, what would happen?
I'd be curious too. But you're right. If I remember correctly, right, those long documents, they're signed. Aren't they multi-part anyway? So you're getting the top sheet and they're
Well,
usually
yeah, so
thin, right?
they've got them broken apart.
Yeah.
So they've got their copy of the NCR,
Hmm.
right?
I'm thinking
But
about the jams inside the ADF would probably,
jams inside the ADF, right?
yeah.
Right.
But
But interesting. I mean, will that be irrelevant one day when all your sales orders are all done on a digital pad?
well, yeah, I mean, okay, we've been talking about that for 2 decades,
Yeah,
especially in the automotive industry, right? It's like, wow, that's something they've been talking about forever. And still, it cracks me up, right? I mean, they're making driver's license copies for 5 years in this situation that they didn't know how to do the thingamajigger with the what do you call it on it,
right.
right?
And now they're all color.
Oh yeah.
Oh, so that was the other option I put in. This was not a color machine, right?
Okay.
A black and white, but it had the ability to do color scan.
Okay. Oh,
So I put in a program mode for color scan.
okay.
But in color scan's good, but they need to make a copy,
Right.
right?
On one sheet of paper, front and back on one sheet of paper, black and
On
white is fine.
on one sheet of paper. So we had to do, since the printout was coming, it wasn't going to come out in color, it's going to come out in black. I then had to adjust for photo mode. I
Oh my
had to
God.
adjust for gloss mode since it's a gloss finish on the card. And then I had to lighten up the image of the photograph of the person because it
Yeah.
was too light. Wouldn't it be great? Like you said, I noticed this is a light. All of a sudden, you put the license on the screen, and all of a sudden AI comes up and says, okay, I recognize this is a license. I'm going to make these changes, right?
Hmm.
And then when you press your button, when you're done pressing a button the first time, it says flip your card, and out, voila, it gives you the perfect
There's
copy.
if you can throw AI at it, and this is almost might be machine language versus being AI,
Mhm.
but still, you could even do watermarks, right?
Correct.
That
So
there's all sorts of stuff you
yeah,
can do.
it is interesting because Rico's screen, or Rico's GUI, is actually Android, uses the Android OS.
Okay. All right. Like a lot of them use Android. What was it? HP used Windows one time, I think for the Edge line.
Yeah, I know some other
Just got
companies,
delayed stress.
They are using a Windows OS.
Got enough of Windows. I'd rather use Droid down at that level. So anyway, well that's it. I'll tell you what, Art. I haven't heard reduction or license plate copy in 100 million years because it wasn't me. I never sold to the government, but the DMVs. That was one of the big. Of course, if it didn't do that, why they wouldn't buy it. So that was like a number one stat. I think it was Lexmark deal with
Right.
that flipping it over. Wow.
So I think, thinking, the more we talk about it, I think there is a place for AI in the user interface.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. I mean, so the tough thing with putting stuff like that on the copier is it takes memory, it takes processing. The old school. If you put a Windows M, it's a skinny down environment. But with AI now, programming isn't as heavy, right? I don't know why it's all magic to me, but yeah, you could have it, you know, all the way down to facial recognition instead of being, tapping in your PIN number or whatever in the old days, um, to automatically recognizing the scan document as whatever. I mean, Canon, I think it was Canon had some software that would do that, and they were trying to, once if someone were trying to copy out special plans, I think you might even told me about this. A pharmaceutical didn't want anyone copying out a bunch of documents and taking them out the door. So the device was supposed to recognize these as confidential documents and not copy them.
Not copy them or put them out redacted or
Yeah,
something to that
it
effect.
was in this case that I remember was that no, we just don't want it to even come out. Well, think about what it's doing. It's got to read the doc, right? Determine through whatever way that this is a
Right,
document
right.
that cannot be copied. So don't copy it. That's intense at the machine level. Or they scan the doc up to a software in the cloud. The software in the cloud looks at it and releases it, and then it prints it as opposed to copy. So there was all sorts of weird mumbo jumbo that had to be done. The Canons were the only one. This is like 15, 20 years ago. I don't know if that's changed now. I don't know. Right. I know that aren't there some copiers, Art, that will not copy money,
Yes.
dollar bills?
Yeah.
So there's some
Yeah,
logic
yeah, yeah.
built
They
in.
put they actually they will make a there's some that I think there's some that won't, but with some that will, they put microscopic yellow dots in it. And
That's right.
actually each microscopic whatever yellow
Mm,
dot will also lead you back to the serial number of the machine
right.
that produced
That's right. I do
that
remember that.
document.
So you can't counterfeit money through the copier.
Correct. And if you
That was
do,
the
you get
idea.
caught pretty easily.
It goes all the way back to the copier. Yeah,
Yep.
that's interesting. Wow, some things never change. Well, that's
Yeah.
cool, Art. Man, BMW, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. So how was your week?
Hmm. I was just looking at the end of the week. I met a grip of people all week
Right.
from most of it's AI. Matter of fact, all of it's AI, except for Evolved Office. Do you guys know? Do you know
I'm
Evolved
familiar with
Office?
them. Yeah.
Yeah, they're known. So they've got a system out there that does use artificial intelligence. So that, of course, I'm looking for that. It's geared for the copier dealer. I don't know that much about it. I've only met a couple times and a couple conversations with them, but it's designed for marketing. All right. And it's going to be for a dealer who doesn't have a marketing department. So it's not going to be your impacts or your POAs or your Dexes, the bigger guys, but it's not going to, it's not that expensive. But if I know you know this, Art, right? If you're selling a Rico, you can go out and download all the brochures and everything you want for that particular model, right?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Pretty
Yep.
simple, easy
Marketing
stuff.
pieces, whatever
Yeah.
basically whatever you need.
So he's taken that model. I'm sorry, the company has taken that process, that procedure, and now down to the salesperson by throwing some LLMs at it and some even Salesforce management, cycle management techniques. You can, as a salesperson, have content generated for you that is by you and it's customized every doc. So it could be an email, it could be a letter, but it'll be specific and in your voice, right?
Interesting.
Yeah. And then once you can set up, when I say you, whoever does, can set up a complete prospecting cycle, right? You key it off wherever it is. And there's other systems that do this, but this is designed for copiers. So if you had a technology show, they give you a card, you log it in, and boom, it goes into this cycle,
Right.
right? Sends an invoice, not an invoice, maybe sends a thank you letter from you because this is now you're the sales rep, explaining, thanking them for coming in, maybe saying one or two cool things about them. Boom, off it goes. Then in a week, another one goes out. So it does that trickle stuff, but it also tracks, which is pretty cool. If that prospect hits their website, all right,
Right.
pulls that data in,
Right.
updates the CRM, and then lets the rep know. And
Something
then
similar to HubSpot.
very similar to HubSpot in the
Right.
process, in the
Right.
flow, which
Right.
is that's a common workflow in marketing, right? So yes, but the twist here is it is customized. It uses an LLM and it will make suggestions. All right, based on so this person was on the website. It saw this. It looked at the scanners. Here's an email suggesting a suggestion about our scanners. Do you want to send it? Boom,
Right.
off it goes. And then it all gets entered into the HubSpot So I can imagine there's probably an, you know, learning curve to set it up, but once it's set up,
I was just going to get back to that learning curve, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, when I say learning curve, I mean set up in the system, and that's my big thing. Is like, sales rep doesn't want to set up, just tell me seriously.
Yep.
I'll sit down for maybe in the very beginning, guided with someone. This is what you got to do. That's going to talk in your voice. So you got to give yourself a profile. You got to set that up. Now, once all this is set up,
Right.
it'll work. But you got to do this, blah, 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 and off it goes.
And who's going to remind you to use it? Hey,
Yeah.
interesting. So did you get as far as if I could put in a Sharp brochure and a Rico brochure, and it would go as far as making me a side-by-side spreadsheet?
Well, no, I
Now,
didn't go. I did
now
not.
that would be cool.
Well, you mean a spec to spec? Is that
So
what
you can go, you of course, again, you can subscribe to these sites that will
yeah,
actually give you
side by sides.
side by sides. But wondering if that can come to AI as well.
Well, I'm not going to say no, but I didn't visit
Uh-huh.
that issue. Um, Ultimately, so I did speak to someone else all about AI, a little bit higher scale, the Fortune 50. This person works with the Fortune 50, linking all of those things together. Doesn't matter if it's Salesforce, HubSpot. The way this person was describing it to me was absolutely mind blowing. Now, this is scale. This is, we're not going to get it. Your dealership's not going to buy this. This is humongous. This is Microsoft, Amazon. These are the big, Fortune 60s in the world.
Mhm.
But it'll trickle down sometime. But what they're doing is with AI, building out a complete ecosystem that, as an example, if someone tweets negatively about my widget out in, I don't know, Sarasota, Florida, and I'm located here and I've got, the information gets back to marketing, sales, execs, if need to, manufacturing. Everything is interlaced. If one of my machines is out there and starts kicking out errors, or multiple machines kicking out similar maintenance faults or whatever, it gets back to manufacturing. It gets back to quality control. It gets back to customer service.
Most
So that
important.
the
Most
way
important.
this whole thing sounded like, again, pie in the sky. Sure, it'll be that way in what, 10 years? No, we're doing it right now. Go, what? Yeah,
Right.
from the chat bot. And this person, I go, well, gee whiz. And I'm thinking, well, what's the lifespan of your sales cycle? Well, then she goes, well, think about it. I go, yeah, all right, I'm thinking about it. We'll be there forever. Yeah, you're right. Because they're not taking on, I think you and I might have spoken about this before. When we look out to go put a document management system in, right? We're
Right.
going to work doc man, all the accounts receivable and accounts payable, or all the manufacturing, all the pharmaceutical notes, all that stuff. But those are isolated inside a silo. These real systems take the whole ecosystem in, not just payroll, payables, accounts payable, general ledger, manufacturing. Okay, now let's go do marketing. Okay, now let's go do HR. And you can't, with AI, you can't do different silos at different times because it impacts everything. So
Right.
so what she was saying is like, yeah, we're in everything. Oh, because you have to. AI goes everywhere, but that's the power. And
Right.
again, I meet a lot of people. This person, my head hurt afterwards.
Right.
That's been a long time too. It's like I had to repeat what I thought she said. She goes, yes. I go, and then get right back down to this is the same when we had our DCAs, right, Art? And
Yep.
a digital gateway and integrating a help desk like ConnectWise or something with the DCA, with the accounting system, with the warranty software, with the help desk software, the dispatch. They're all that was 5 or 6 different applications.
Yep.
It's a nightmare.
Yep.
But the glue, I mean, saying this, looking for this for 8 years is okay. What kind of application can we get that will connect them all together? Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. Well, apparently now it does. It's just at a bigger scale. That'll
Well,
be mind blowing.
so on a bigger scale, right? You're
Mm-hmm.
talking about bigger scale. You're talking about top 60, right?
Mm-hmm.
corporations.
Yeah, the Fortune 60. So not the Fortune 1000, not even the Fortune 100, the Fortune 60.
Right. So I guess and I'm just thinking out loud here. I read a recent series of links about the emergence of smart cities. Right?
Mhm.
So basically, it spoke about transforming smart cities with real-time data collection, just like you just spoke about, and quick decision making enabled by 5G technology.
So like
I mean,
what?
are there any smart cities out there yet?
No, not yet. But same, boy, if you think business ecosystem is complex, try and integrate all those silos in just a city. Take a small city. You've got water, electric, traffic, law enforcement, judicial,
Fire.
uh, all that stuff, fire.
Mhm.
And then what's the
OEM.
code, the codes and stuff like sewage, and then what are those building codes or whatever it is? Like look at New York City, all of those databases.
Right.
Then, so what does that mean? Are you going to make all the lights run correctly? All the, yeah. We'll manage traffic by timing all the lights. That's easy enough. How about enforcing parking? Yeah. How about enforcing toll roads? Yeah. Can we tie all those together? Be nice, but see if that's what they're talking about, the smart city, then you've got to integrate everything. So,
Mm.
I mean,
One hack and the entire city goes down.
or goes nuts. All the stoplights are green. All the subways stop in the middle.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There's another thing, Art, along the lines that is called 15-minute cities. That's coming from the ESG or the climate control folks. The idea is you live
I think
within
I've read about that. Yeah, I have
it.
read about that.
It got a few. I think Paris, or not Paris, but France kind of bit down on it. So the theory sounds good. And I looked at it, and go, oh, that sounds pretty cool. Everything you need is only 15 minutes away from where you live.
Right.
Groceries, job, and this is back when work from home. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that you can conceivably ride a bike. That so as I delved into it,
Right.
it's a green movement. It isn't anything much more than climate change
Yeah.
to get rid of. And so after that, it's like, all right, but then everything is controlled or could be controlled by a
Right.
central process. Right.
Interesting. You mentioned that. Here in Monmouth County, we've got a dying mall, indoor
Oh,
mall,
yeah.
and it was purchased by Kushner. Apparently,
Yeah.
you're familiar with Kushner companies, right? And the thought is to change it into living space, urgent care,
Really?
shopping, grocery shopping, basically everything that you would need in this. I don't know how many acres it is, but it's a mall that's pretty decent size. Everything you need would be in that space.
Interesting.
And that's like 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
walking distance. That's
right.
so. Do you know, Art? Is it a tear down or is it a conversion? I don't.
It's
I
going to
don't.
be a tear down slash conversion. They're going to
Mm,
keep two of the main stores, and basically from enclosed, it's going to be partially enclosed, partial open air.
yeah.
Open air, it is. We do get winter here in Jersey,
Yeah, you do.
but
But
it's an
first time I've heard of
interesting
that. Yeah.
interesting concept that I saw. And matter of fact, I think they just started tear down a
Oh,
couple
really? So
days
they're
ago,
moving
from
forward.
what I read.
Well, that's pretty cool because I just, I'm seeing more and more stories about malls. I mean, there's out in Detroit, right? One of the malls that I grew up in or with just closed. I mean, not,
Right.
yeah, it did. There was no one in it to begin with, but then it closed a couple weeks back. But the malls have been taken. That's interesting. I wonder how that'll work. And it kind of, it's just down in Florida. It kind of fits an all-inclusive community because Florida is the king of those. You've heard of the villages, right?
The
So,
villages, yes, I've heard of that. Yep.
but there are plenty of other uh, similar style
Right.
living
So in
arrangements.
Florida with the communities, they have the sprawl, they have the space, right?
Right.
So with the communities, as far as I understand, it's acres and acres. You actually need a golf cart to get around.
Oh, the villages?
Yeah,
Oh
the
yeah.
villages. Right, right.
You can only travel by golf cart it's like Disneyland almost,
Okay,
or Mackinac Island. There's some sort of regulation, but
right,
yeah, and it's huge. I mean,
right,
it's huge.
right, right. And that type of space in Jersey is
Yeah.
having it, that sprawling of space is just not, it's just not feasible.
Well, what I heard what you just said is that the medical is in there. So that's going for usually when I hear that, I mean that's the age the older age folks. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's a perfect idea. So
right.
interesting. Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw this. New Jersey today just announced some huge artificial intelligence. I don't even know how to say policy or program for with education, uh, angel investors.
No, I didn't see that today.
Yeah, I just saw it maybe, and again, I saw it flash by an hour or so ago. And
Right,
it was on LinkedIn. I was listening to it and I was about ready to spark off on it, but I didn't. Imagine going to school today to get your master's in artificial intelligence. This is going to be what, 6 years from now? There's no way in the world AI in 6 years is going to look like what they're going to teach you between now and then. There's just
right,
no way. I don't care what, I mean, it was terrible before AI, right? The stuff you learned in school, you come out, no one programs in COBOL anymore. What the, I don't need that. I need maybe 4 or 5, maybe
right,
3 classes at a 400 level could be easily applicable to a regular job, right? Not a specialized accounting or doctor or medical, something like that.
right,
So I was just, are you kidding me? And Art, the list went on of all these things we're going to do with AI. This 7 different divisions here, 14. Go, wow, dude. By the time you get done saying it, it's already out of date. But
and
yeah, it's interesting.
all the people who take care of that, I'm sure it's going to be all union jobs.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's what I was saying too. Well, there's a boondoggle.
Right.
It's higher education, so there's something going on there.
Correct,
I don't know
correct.
what, but
Higher
yeah,
education, correct. Yep, yep.
incredible.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what do you got on tap for next week? Anything good?
Holy smokes. Um. Oh yeah. So last night I had a bourbon. Um, it was a business meeting, and I'll talk about it real quick. So yeah, it was bourbon and business. I spoke with someone who's her name's Morgan. We talked about this program where you can invest in barrels and get a return on it like you're investing in anything else. The return is somewhere around 20 and 24%, which is pretty high. It's 3 to 5 years though on the return.
Right.
There's all sorts of thingamajiggers and what do you call it and stuff like that. But I was just interested to see, well, what is this? Is this a scam? Blah, 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 blah. No, but what was very interesting, she grew up in Bardstown. Her family's from Bourbon City. We'll just put it there. Um, so bourbon was part of her upbringing. It'd be like growing up outside Detroit and not knowing anything about automobiles, right? Kids, we know everything about them, but
Yep.
her family was really, but the stories were excellent. So we did that last night. I've got another bourbon tasting coming up, I think next week.
Cool.
And,
How
oh,
do you
there's something else.
survive with all the bourbon tasting?
This is nothing, Art. When I was in the business, 11 o'clock in the morning, you know,
Okay.
these distributors were coming. Yeah, I got some new bourbon I need for you to check out. Translation, taste. 11 in the morning. And then it got 10 in the morning. And we had like 240 bourbons on the shelf, and you have to taste them before you put it. No, I'm not going to buy that, but that was what it was. So I tried to schedule Fridays, just do them on Fridays, and then the wine lady would come in at 4 on a Friday.
By Friday evening.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but I know a lot more about bourbon than I ever thought I would, and not that initial foundation is still solid. That's going on. Got some AI stuff coming up,
Right.
and the world keeps turning.
Yes, sir. And the world keeps turning. We've got
Yeah, what do
next
we got?
week is pretty interesting here where I live. We've got a roar at the shore.
Wait a minute. Is that hydrofoils? The rooster tail boats?
Well, yes, we have two boat races, skiffs, which are I think 20 feet and under, right, with these massive engines on them. And then they're going to have I guess their formula race boats, right? It's all going to be at Sandy Hook, and it's going to be centered right here in Highlands. And I think I've
Wow.
got a premier viewing
Oh,
area.
no kidding. Good for you.
Yeah, because my back of my house out overviews Sandy Hook Bay.
Oh, wow.
Right. Right. So
Well,
that's scheduled for next weekend. I'm thinking we're going to have quite a few people here as long as the weather's going to be decent.
oh, that's funny, Art. I just because I could be wrong with the terminology, but hydrofoils is what I want to say, but I don't. But the formulas, they're the big boats that have the big rooster tails that kick out of the back. Well, on the
Yeah.
Detroit River, they've been there for decades, and I think they're just coming back to Detroit. Maybe it might be the second year that they're actually back on the river. So I think it is that Roar Shore thing. It might be the same tournament. That's interesting. But those things are cool. They are
Yeah.
really cool. It's like
Yeah.
bang and loud.
I'm
Like
sure it's going to be a noisy
that's good.
weekend.
That's right. Wow. Well, that's good. Do do we have any announcements we can make for the show here tonight? Or
Um, we've got a couple of guests lined up for next week,
okay.
and we're going to keep that as special guests. So we invite you to tune in, right? So maybe
Yeah.
everybody can tune in and see who's going to be on the show. Should be an interesting conversation. But the week after is going to be the 24th, which is going to be Memorial Day weekend.
Hmm.
And we're still going to do the show for Memorial Day weekend.
Perfect. It's gonna be a blast too. All
So
right, cool.
we're hoping to have some interesting chats then.
Well, I can say that we've got some interesting guys and people on deck.
That's correct.
So
Yeah.
nothing to announce, but they're on deck and looking good. So
They're on deck. Yep. And, as it comes to, sometimes you come to, Friday at 3 or 4 p.m. and all of a sudden you get a call from a client or, something else pops up. So we've got them on tap. Hopefully they'll be here for the show.
all right. Very good. All right. You want to take us out, Art?
I'll take us out. Everybody, thanks for joining us for another version of Ask Us Anything. That's Greg over there with the headset on. My name is Art, and we thank you to keep tuning in, and please like, share, and follow on our YouTube channel. And everybody have a great weekend.
See ya.